Take a long, deliberate look at these streets. What you are witnessing right now is not a Hollywood set, nor is it a simple hand-painted backdrop. Through the groundbreaking power of advanced AI reconstruction, we are performing a digital exhumation of a city that vanished over 3 centuries ago. We are stepping back into the year 1665, a year when London stood at the precipice of total annihilation. Before the modern glass skyscrapers, the concrete embankments, and the sprawling underground tunnels, there was a city built of wood and recklessness. This journey is more than a history lesson. It is a visceral exploration of 2 years that redefined the human spirit. By utilizing generative AI to unlock 17th-century canvases, we have transformed static, frozen frames into a living, breathing cinematic experience. Today, we witness the architectural fragility of a wooden empire, the psychological horror of the Great Plague, and the purifying violence of the Great Fire. This is the epic of how London died in agony, only to be reborn from its own charred remains. Chapter 1. The Architecture of Recklessness. Tone: rich, descriptive, energetic. Imagine it is the spring of 1665. We are standing on a small wooden boat in the middle of the River Thames. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. The water isn't just a river, it is a roaring lifeline. This is the busiest highway on the planet. Thousands of ships from distant colonies are crowded together, their hulls groaning under the weight of exotic spices, the shimmer of fine silks, and an endless flow of wealth pouring into the city. This is the heartbeat of a British Empire at the height of its meteoric rise. But as we step onto the muddy shore, the grandeur begins to fade into something far more claustrophobic and dangerous. The London of 1665 was a massive tinderbox waiting for a single spark. Archaeological records and AI simulations reveal a metropolis built with a terrifying lack of foresight. Over 13,000 houses stand here, packed together with a density that defies logic. Look up at the houses leaning over us right now. These are Tudor timber homes, built with jetties, upper floors that jut outward floor by floor, overshadowing the street below. In the narrowest alleys, the houses from opposite sides almost touch at the rooflines. They create dark wooden tunnels that trap heat, odors, and stagnant air. The spring sunlight barely reaches the ground here. It slips through only as faint, ghostly streaks of light touching the slippery, filth-covered cobblestones. Everything feels cramped. Everything feels overwhelming. The air is thick with the sound of 500,000 people living in a space designed for a fraction of that number. And dominating the horizon is the old St. Paul's Cathedral. Do not look for the iconic dome we know today. It doesn't exist yet. Instead, we see a Gothic masterpiece with razor-sharp spires, a structure that has stood firm for 600 years. It feels unbreakable. It feels too wealthy, too alive to ever fall. But if you look closer into the dark corners of those narrow alleys, you will see that an invisible terror has already taken root. Chapter 2. The Shadow of the Plague. Tone: somber, heavy, and haunting. As the calendar turns to the summer of 1665, the golden light of spring is extinguished. It is replaced by a suffocating, oppressive heat that seems to radiate from the very stones. The radiant London we just walked through is about to transform into a vast, city-sized grave. Can you feel the air growing heavier? The chatter of merchants and the laughter of children have been replaced by an uncanny, terrifying silence. The heat of this summer is unlike anything the citizens have ever experienced. It is thick with what 17th-century doctors called the miasma, an indescribable stench rising from open sewage channels and rotting waste. Stop here in front of this dark wooden house. Do you see the mark? A bright red cross has been crudely painted on the door. Beneath it, in the desperate words, "Lord, have mercy upon us." This is the signature of the Great Plague. When that door is nailed shut from the outside, it is more than a medical quarantine, it is a death sentence. Families are trapped inside, left to face the Black Death together in the dark. The streets are now eerily empty. No more merchant calls, no more clatter of horse-drawn carts. The only sounds are the rhythmic tapping of the guards' staffs and the muffled, agonizing cries drifting from behind shuttered windows. From the thick mist, a shadow emerges. It is the plague doctor. His long bird-like beak is stuffed with aromatic herbs meant to filter the poisoned air. His eyes are hidden behind dark, soulless glass lenses. In the 17th century, these men looked more like angels of death than healers. Week by week, and the death toll leaps from hundreds to thousands. The Thames still flows, but the ships no longer dock. London is no longer a center of power. It has become a vast open-air tomb. By autumn, the city is a ghost of its former self. But as London collapses under the weight of its dead, a new fury is brewing. In the darkness of a small bakery on Pudding Lane, a single spark is about to change everything. Chapter 3. The Purge of Fire. Tone: intense, fast-paced, powerful. September 2nd, 1666. A single spark. That is all it took to ignite the world. In the early morning hours, inside Thomas Farriner's bakery on Pudding Lane, a small fire escapes the oven. Within hours, the sky over London turns into a terrifying sea of fire. Can you hear the sound? It is the roar of a monster. The crackling of dry timber sounds like 1,000 muskets firing at once. After a long, parched summer drought, those cramped Tudor houses have become the perfect kindling. The narrow streets that were once charming labyrinths are now perfect chimneys. The fierce east wind acts as a giant bellows, driving a scalding flood of fire through the heart of the city. Look toward the river. People are desperately piling their lives onto small boats, watching as their history turns to ash. Now, look at St. Paul's Cathedral. The spiritual heart of the city is melting before our eyes. The AI simulation here captures a detail that historians have written about for centuries: the lead. The cathedral's roof is covered in 6 acres of lead. As the fire reaches the roof, the lead liquefies. The molten metal begins to pour down the stone walls in shimmering, white-hot streams, flowing into the streets like rivers of volcanic lava. The heat is so intense that the very stones of the cathedral begin to explode like grenades. For 4 days and 4 nights, London is an inferno. All that was built over centuries, the wealth, the libraries, the ancient symbols of power, is erased. But as you watch the flames, remember this: the fire is performing a cruel, necessary task. It is burning away the filth of the plague. It is sterilizing the rat-infested alleys. The medieval shell of London is being scorched away, purified in the most agonizing way imaginable. London is being erased so that it can finally breathe again. Chapter 4. Rebirth and the Vision of Christopher Wren. Tone: hopeful, inspiring, steady. Now, I stand here with me amidst the ruins. The fire has finally exhausted itself. Look at your feet. All that remains are charred timbers and crumbling stone walls. The silence here is profound, but it is no longer the deadly quiet of the plague. This is the stillness of a blank page, waiting for the first stroke of a master's pen. 87 churches are gone, 13,000 homes have vanished. But standing in the middle of this ash-covered square is Sir Christopher Wren. While the rest of the world sees only tragedy and loss, Wren sees a vision. He sees a city that will never burn like this again. Watch as our AI brings this vision to life. The London that rises from these ashes is a different creature entirely. Wren and the architects of his time made a radical decision. The era of wood was over. Notice the transformation happening before your eyes. The narrow, plague-ridden wooden alleys are being replaced by wide, airy avenues. The flammable timber is gone, replaced by the permanence of brick and stone. The city is shedding its old, diseased skin. The medieval shell has fallen away to reveal the framework of a modern metropolis, safer, brighter, and more magnificent than anything that came before it. And look up. There it is, the crown jewel, the new St. Paul's Cathedral. No longer the dark Gothic spires, but a massive, defiant Baroque dome. It stands as a symbol of rebirth, a testament to the fact that the human spirit can rise from the most absolute devastation. We are standing beneath one of humanity's greatest achievements. Conclusion: the lesson of resilience. Tone: reflective, wise, Concluding, the London we have walked through today, from the bustling docks of 1665 to the smoldering ruins of 1666, is not just a collection of dates in a dry textbook, it is a profound lesson in resilience. The ashes of the Great Fire were not an ending. They were a brutal, transformative beginning. They forced a stagnant society to change, to think differently, and to build a future based on safety and vision rather than habit and recklessness. Those wide avenues we walk down today, the solid brick walls we lean against, and the magnificent domes that define the London skyline, all of them were born from the pain and loss of 1665. History is not merely a record of suffering, it is a testament to the fierce, unyielding will to live. It shows us that even when our world is reduced to ash, we have the power to build something even greater in its place. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey through fire and plague. I hope that when you stand before the ruins of the past, you see not only the tragedy, but the vision of those who came before us. I am your AI guide through time, and this was London, 1665. See you on our next journey.